Kia ora team, and welcome back to Big Boys Boxing. So we have a fight confirmation today. Olexander Usyk will be fighting Dereck Chisora on May 23rd at O2 Arena pay-per-view event. Nothing else confirmed for that card as yet, and it will only be pay-per-view in the UK, possibly pay-per-view down here in New Zealand too, but it's on DAZN, the subscription-based platform in the States. So I'm looking forward to this fight, and to be honest, I was a little skeptical whether this fight was actually going to get made. It was supposed to be a bit earlier in the year. Usyk suffered some kind of injury in camp, so it got put off. And to me, I was thinking, I don't think Usyk really wants to fight Chisora. He just wants his title shot, and that was what he was saying initially when the Chisora fight was proposed. I think Eddie Hearn had to work pretty hard to convince management to take this fight. And being honest, it's a good fight to test the waters at a decent level for Olexander Usyk. I mean, Mr. Witherspoon, who Usyk fought on short notice, wasn't even really dipping toes in the water. There's a lot of cruiserweights who could beat Mr. Witherspoon, so it is what it was. But this fight, if you're not up to scratch, Dereck Chisora is an elite level gatekeeper. So if you're not up to scratch, you're going to get found out by this guy. I see a lot of people are saying Dereck Chisora is old, war-torn, journeyman. Yeah, he has 9 losses, but he's lost to pretty good competition most of the time. There are a couple of losses here that he probably shouldn't have lost, but he's on a good run at the moment. You know, he's coming off a spectacular knockout win over Artur Spilka. He's got a recent win over David Price as well. So he's on a hot streak. He's built himself back up, and in my opinion, probably to get knocked over again. But don't get me wrong, Dereck Chisora can punch. You see what he did to Spilka. You see what he did to Carlos Takam. He can punch. If he catches Usyk clean on the chin with one of his big shots, it's quite likely Usyk could go down and get knocked out even. But I think the likelihood of it is fairly low, to be honest. A puncher's chance. So we'll take a quick look at the fighter's records. Professional records, that is. Olexander Usyk is 17-0 with only one win as a heavyweight under his belt. He's 33 years old, 6'3", southpaw with a 78-inch reach. Now, having only one heavyweight professional belt under his belt is a bit of a downfall, but if you look at this, this is Olexander Usyk's World Series of Boxing career. He's 6-0 as a semi-pro. He's got 2 knockouts over proper heavyweights. All these World Series of Boxing fights were proper heavyweight fights. He's beaten Joe Joyce, he's beaten Junior Farr. He's knocked out a guy who used to be ranked around 100 in the professional ranks, nowadays in 6'6", Matteo Modugno. He's also got another knockout as well, but not worth mentioning that one. So he has been in the ring with real heavyweights before, and don't forget, he spent a lot of time in Vladimir Klitschko's camps as well. They're good friends, they're both Ukrainian, they're both promoted by K2 Promotions. Now moving on to Dereck Chisora. He's 32-9. Now don't be deceived by that. We will get to that in a minute. He is 36 years old, orthodox. He's 6'1.5" with a 74-inch reach. So he's actually a little bit smaller in height and reach than Olexander Usyk. Don't forget that, those of y'all who say Dereck Chisora is a full-blown heavyweight and Olexander Usyk is just a cruiserweight. Dimensions are longer on Usyk. However, there will be some weight disparity in the fight. Dereck Chisora usually weighs between 245 and 260. Olexander Usyk is expected to come in maybe around 230, a slight bit heavier than his debut at heavyweight. But Dereck Chisora's losses, he has 9 of them, so automatically people think he's a bum. But you know, he's got 2 losses to Tyson Fury. He's got 2 losses to Dillian Whyte. Those are 2 top 3 fighters. He's got 2 knockout losses on his record. 1 of them to Dillian Whyte, 1 of them to David Haye. But he's also been in there with Vitaly Klitschko. And there are a few fights on there that he probably should have won, being Kurat Pulev, he lost on split decision. Robert Helenius, he lost on split decision. Ajit Kabiel, he lost on a majority decision. And those are the kind of fights where Chisora hasn't really turned up. But it is what it is. I think he's a bit more motivated these days. He seems to be in better shape these days. So it's a big fight against Usyk. I think he's probably going to come into the ring around 245 to try and maximize any speed that he does have. And it's going to be interesting. Now, I'll leave a couple of articles in the description. One with the confirmation for the fight, and the other one is an article with quotes from Dereck Chisora, and it's titled, "I might have to take 5 to land 1" on Usyk. And also through the article, he talks about how accomplished and how good a boxer Olexander Usyk is. He hasn't got a bad word to say about him, which is interesting from Dereck Chisora. He's usually a fight builder, but I don't think he needs to build this fight. It's a pretty big fight for him, and he has the opportunity to obtain the WBO mandatory position if he can beat Usyk. So that's all the motivation he should need. So I think we'll see the best of both guys in the ring on the night. I'm looking forward to it. How I think the fight will probably go is something along the lines of what Dereck Chisora said. Throw 5 to land 1, except I would word that slightly different. It'll be take 5 to throw 1. He might have to take 30 before he lands 1. And I think that's going to be the problem here. Like I said earlier, Dereck Chisora does have a good overhand right. If he lands it flush, it could be good night for Usyk. But Usyk is extremely mobile. He's high volume. So if Dereck's going to do that big punch and land it, it's going to have to be in the first 6 rounds, I think. Because the volume and the movement that Usyk's going to show him is going to gas out Dereck Chisora at some stage. And I don't think Olexander Usyk has pillow fists either. If he really wants to, he can sit down on a punch and throw it. It's like Tyson Fury. The evasive defensive style doesn't give you the opportunity to sit down on punches as much. But if you've worn down your opponent, you can take a few more microseconds to sit down on a punch and surprise your opponent. So expect Dereck Chisora to slow down and possibly get stopped later in this fight, in my opinion. So it's out there. The fight's confirmed. We're going to get it May 23rd. I hope you enjoy the fight. Let us know how you think it's going to go, and we can get some conversation going from there. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to give me the thumbs up if you have. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is Big Boys Boxing, and I'm out.